Hello, Perceptive Readers. This is James Lynch. And tonight I want to talk to you about um, something that I do feel very strongly about. And it took some years to get to this point. Um, but I do believe this strongly. How many of you remember that even before you get to the point of wanting to uh, dedicate your life to God, you see, the grand creator, uh, most likely, I'm 100% sure on this, that God was already looking at you and helping you along even before you even realized there was a God, and especially whether you even knew that God had a personal name. hmm Oh, yeah. I do believe firmly he was already looking at you, and we don't even have to go to the scriptures to prove this, even though we could. So with that in mind, this is still the thought. If God was already looking at you first before you were even really aware of him, okay, and he found something good within your soul, you see, within your spirit, even through your ups and downs, he was aware of you. And then he also had designated a time where he would continue to give you accurate knowledge about him. So, with that being the case, you would most likely recognize through those ups and down times his mercy and still his love, even though you may look at it as, but he wasn't talking to me with his own voice and, speaking like you and I can speak right now, like over a phone or what have you. And yet, all the same, uh, if you pay close attention or reflect, you will still be able to recognize ways that he helped you. See, to such a point that this is the standing view, even of miracles, if you will, of the way that people view miracles. See, some people don't believe in miracles. And then you have some people who very much still believe in miracles. And yet, both types of persons will acknowledge they believe in God. So, what is the answer to that? I mean, is it a such thing as miracles or not? Or divine intervention or not? And see, that is another area of your spiritual life that God reveals to you himself, you see. And so the standing view of that is, if someone feels that they have received a divine intervention, you see what I'm saying, if you will, something supernatural or miraculous really did happen to them in this way or that way from God, and they believe in their heart that this is what happened, then it's like, who is anybody else to challenge them in that matter? In other words, they shouldn't, and really they can't. And so it's not something that you could even go to another church member and try to argue about. If somebody's saying, I know God intervened in my life, provided this miracle for me, if you will, in my life to be able to do this or do that. So we just leave it in God's hands. Now, with that being said, let's continue a step further. God, he wants his people to be saved. He wants his people to be saved. He teaches us wisdom. So along with that wisdom, through God, we recognize as well at times Well, the people are just stringing us along, dangling a carrot, you know, which they never plan on giving to you in this way or that. And even though the way they have the prodding that goes along with the dangling of the carrot is if, well, you know, if you keep doing this, if you do that, you're finally going to get it, and you have to just keep on believing in this and that. Even though the stats and the fact of the matter is around the world, there are still just as many people who were believing and kept believing as well. And the ones who were actually being disingenuous and dishonest, you know, scammers and everything else, just continue to take advantage of them, you see, because they continue to at least listen to that false prodding. But see, that's the same type of reasoning even well-meaning people use today, who, you know, would say, well, you just got to keep on believing. You just got to keep on doing that. And yes, a person believes. And yet, I think about those people who have protested peacefully over the years, where, you know, it literally does get to the principle of the matter, where sometimes in order for the person or persons to stop taking advantage of you, you just have to hold your peace, if you will, and sit still. And that is not giving up. But the point is, especially like I said, if persons really mean well for you and they realize already their own philosophical thinking or even negligence have caused great detrimental harm to you. I mean, even maybe cause you to lose loved ones in your life because of their insensitivity, even towards your wages, holding back wages and things of that nature. You see, wages that could have gotten medical care, that if they weren't playing around with your life, thinking that they were elevated in their own wisdom and things of that nature. See, these things really do happen. And so once people realize such an injustice that happens to another individual, and especially if they played a part in it, then what does it say of them if they still try to use that same type of philosophy instead of giving you what is due you in the first place? You see? And whether they accept it or not, giving you the be a tough man talk, be a real man or be a real woman or what have you talk, you know what? They don't have the right to even talk to you in that way at all. And what I mean by this is anybody who contributes, and purposely so, to usurp your life, and they know if these same type of actions that they did to you were practiced and done upon them, they know they wouldn't stand for it in the first place. And I'm going to tell you this as a reminder. The persons who said that they would stand for it, then I say next, well, would you stand for it if this was done to your son or daughter or your child? And then a lot of the persons, you see, would sit down if they were standing up from there, that they know they wouldn't. And then the persons who are left standing at times, I'm just saying this straight up. See, if they haven't come to the correct understanding of what the family and the nurturing of the family really supposed to be, the education and the strength and love supposed to be, and yet they're still standing saying that they will actually do these type of things to their own child. See, these are the persons that then I end up saying, you know what? Mentally, psychologically, and especially spiritually, you are still not mature enough to even raise children because of the way that you would raise them. You see, remember, there's many ways to, as they say, toughen a person up, but you actually, ethically, there are still certain things you do not do within the family arrangement circle. You just don't do it. It's ethically wrong. It's spiritually wrong. And what was Jesus talking about while on the earth? He was talking about love. And he taught us things about, he was saying really in humanity, we shouldn't do these things. But if we shouldn't even do these things against our own neighbor, then how much more so even our own family, our nucleus family. And yet you have persons at times being convinced to turn their own household that's supposed to be a haven into a war zone just to what? Impress somebody else who just happened just to be talking in a philosophical way or what have you, or because they have more money or because they have some higher position. So I'm here to tell you, God still sees everything. And if he showed you a patience and understanding as he's been bringing you along all your life, that as some people recognize, I'm nothing but dust. I shouldn't even be here. And yet you are here. And yet God still has shown his love to you, patience and mercy to you. Well, if you've already seen and experienced all that, then he wants you to show that to your own nucleus family as well. Show that same type of love, that patience, you see, that spiritual understanding. Take care of yourself, perceptive reader. Have a wonderful day.